Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha Shruti-Smriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-Padam Shankaram Loka-Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra-Bhashya-Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah-Punah Ishwaro Guru-Ratmete Murti-Bheda-Vibhagine Vyomavad-Vyapta-Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarchinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sankapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasam Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Om Namaste once again, everyone.
Namaste, Guruji. Pranam.
Pranam. Namaste.
Pranam, Guruji. Pranam.
Pranam. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Namaskaram. So we will chant the 25th shloka. Maharshinam Bhruguraham Giramasmekaksharam Yajnanam Japayajñosmi Stavaranam Himalayah. Very good. So, Lord Krishna continues with the enumeration of his glories. And in this shloka, as we have already seen in the last class, he says among the Maharishis, he is Bhrigu, the great Rishi who tested the Trimurtis for their patience. And among the words, he is Ekamaksharam, Omkara. And among the Yajñas, he is Japa Yajña. And towards the last class, I was elaborating on the Japa Yajña prescribed in the Shastras and what are the advantage of Japa Yajña as compared to all other types of sadhanas. And in the Shastra, 3 types of Japa Yajña are mentioned. One is called Vaikhari. Vaikhari means loud, audible chanting. The second is called Upamshu. Upamshu is whispered chanting where the lips move but the sound is not audible to others. And the third type is Manasika or Manas, silent mental chanting. And each level is considered progressively to be more powerful, with Manasika chanting being the most advanced and effective. And so, as all of them are inexpensive, but at the same time they are as efficacious as other rituals, Krishna says, I am Japa Yajna. And that is why, it is said that a person who is a Vaidika, who is born to a Vedic culture, must minimum do one sadhana of japa. Even if you do not follow any other great religious disciplines like upavasa, because many people may not be able to do this fasting and all because of health reasons. Then even if you are not able to do other rituals like puja, etc., because these days, professional constraints are there, economic reasons are there. But our Shastra says the minimum sadhana that everybody can practice and should practice is some japa. Any name of the Lord, 108 names at any time of the day. Men folks who have gone through the Upanayanam ceremony can easily do it because Sandhya Vandana karma is a all-in-one karma. It has got a part which is japa. Gayatri japa is there. So you do Gayatri japa. Your job is over. Similarly, women have got, normally in the morning they are very busy attending to the kitchen, children going to school, etc., husband going to the office, etc. So once everything is taken care of, sit quietly, preferably before the altar where you would have lighted the lamp. Then one japa, Vishnu Sahasranama Parayanam you do. Even though japa is what? As I explained in the last class, it is a repetition of the same Lord. So even if you don't want to do Vishnu Sahasranama Parayanam, because Vishnu Sahasranama, all that can be taken as japa also, because we are taking 1008 names of the Lord. But if you don't want to do that, if you don't have time for that, just spend a few minutes, just Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Just 108 times, you just close your eyes, mentally chant. Oh, you say, I don't have time even for that. Okay. Chant while you are taking bath. Instead of singing some film songs or things like that, do some japa while taking bath. I am also working. I have to go to office at 9 o'clock. No problem. While driving, do the japa. Whole day I have been very busy. No problem. When you lie down to go to sleep, do some japa and then go to sleep. It will take 5-7 minutes. So the idea is, the best ideal course is keep your mind occupied with japa whole day. But if it is not possible, the minimum that one can do is 5-7 minutes, 10 minutes, one can keep the mind occupied with japa. And with this practice of this sadhana, the minimum one can gain is full sadhana chatushtaya sampatti by mere sadhana of japa. And that is why, in the Shastra, they give the definition glorifying japa. Because japa has got two sounds, ja and pa. So they say, jakaro janma vicheda pakara papanashana janma papa haro yasmat Japa iti uchyate budaihi. So as I said, two letters are there in japa, ja and pa. The first letter ja indicates janma vichedaha, the end to the cycle of birth and death. Next letter pa indicates pakara papanashanaha. That pakara in the japa removes all the papas. So janma papa haro yasmat. Since the sadhana will remove all the papams, and through that it will put an end to the cycle of samsara, japa iti uchyate budaihi. And therefore, japa is a great sadhana. And as I told you earlier also, these are all glorification slokas. These kind of glorifications have got their own limitation. We must not literally, interpret, okay, you just to do japa, you will, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam will be gone. All papam will be gone, I will get moksha. That idea and all should not come. But this is glorification. Why you should do japa? Where some incentive has to be given to the human beings to do anything in life, isn't it? Even as they say, Swami Paramatmananda, he quotes it often rather. Even a dim-witted person will not do anything without some reason rather. Without some purpose. He says, prayojanam anuddishya mandhopina vartate. So, this japa yajna is glorified like that in the Shastra. And therefore, Krishna says, one of my divine glories is, among all the yajnas, I am japa yajna. Then he says, Tavaranam Himalaya. Now we may be wondering, this Krishna is just jumping, one topic to another, totally different topic. But then he is being very natural. Where whatever thought comes to him, he is expressing it. And that is also his glory rather. Arjuna's question was all of a sudden, he said, you give me all the glories. Krishna thought that he has already mentioned in the 7th chapter a few glories, That is enough for a Vedanta student. Why do you want to know everything? Once you know everything is Ishvara, you understand the whole universe is Ishvara. Jagat Karanam Ishvara pervades in everything. Then why do you want, separately, like small children, they have to be told stories, That is what Krishna thought. But now suddenly Arjuna comes up with this, question or requirement. Please give me the full exhaustive list of all your glories. As a teacher, whatever the student asks, the teacher cannot say no. Unless it is so ridiculous that the teacher points out that, what are you going to do by knowing all these things? But Krishna, compassionate, Arjuna favorite student. We are also favorite students of Krishna because we have come through, like Arjuna, 10 chapters we have come through. So he doesn't want to disappoint us. And there is probably another reason also, Krishna thought. If I go on pounding, Aham Brahmasmi, Jnanam into Arjuna, this fellow will run away. As many people are seen doing from these Gurukulams. So some little bit of entertainment, is required in between so that the interest is sustained. So in the process, he is not fully prepared. Oh, I'm going to do first these things, inert things I will do, and then I will come to the sentient things and all. Like that, he has not prepared. Whatever thought is coming to his mind, he is just expressing it. And we can see that also as a glory of Krishna. Because people, many times, they will think before they talk only under two circumstances. One is they will think whether what I am going to say is going to hurt the other person, whether that will be misunderstood by the other person. And therefore, they will still express the thought in such a manner that it is least harmful to the listener. This is one reason. The other reason is you have got some hidden agenda. And you want to further that agenda. And therefore, before you speak, you will think, how should I present this so that my purpose is served, my agenda is served. But while describing his glory, Krishna the two purposes are not there. He is just explaining his glory. So therefore, he need not think, he need not plan what should I talk and all that. No thinking is required. So next vibhuti he mentions is Stavaranam, among the mountains. Stavara means immovables. So among the mountains, I am Himalaya. The most sacred mountain ranges in the world, wherein Lord Shiva is there, the abode of Parvati's father. Somebody has said that the best place on earth is the father-in-law's house. And the proof is Shiva. And you can take Vishnu also. Both are Shiva and Vishnu. Throughout their life, they have stayed in their father-in-law's house only. Vishnu's abode is what? Milky Ocean, from which Lakshmi came. Lakshmim Kshira Samudra Raja Tanayam. So she is the daughter of Samudra Raja. And what type of Samudra? Kshira Samudra, the Milky Ocean. So Kshira Samudra Raja is Lakshmi's father, and that means what? Vishnu, where he is found, his abode is also in father-in-law's house only. So both Shiva and Vishnu have agreement in this aspect. And both of them are found in father-in-law's place to be the best place. So if any of you, or if anybody else rather, has been living in the father-in-law's house, nothing to be scorned upon. Because there is some, people will criticize, oh, you are sitting in your father-in-law's house and all that. You can tell them, what is wrong with that? Shiva has done it, Vishnu has done it, so what is wrong if I do it? But of course, as human beings, we should not take it as a glory. Because that is not the point of saying Stavaranam Himalaya. That is not the point Krishna says. So, that is not one of his divine glories that Krishna is pointing out. The glory which Krishna talks about is Stavaranam, among the mountains, I am Himalaya. And what is the glory of Himalayas? The glory of the Himalayas is defined by its immense natural beauty and spiritual significance, which together have made it a center for both physical and spiritual pilgrimage. This includes the breathtaking landscapes and peaks, rich biodiversity, and the region's role as a sanctuary for sages and spiritual traditions. Himalayas are considered to be a place of divine power and source of inspiration. It is the place where Ganga Devi landed on Shiva's head from the heaven. And therefore, it is the place where the holy, the pious Gangotri originates. Himalayas are also the abode of many pilgrimage centers like Char Dham, consisting of Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri. And of course, the most challenging Amarnath Yatra, which devotees undertake. Then we have other major sites: Mount Kailash, Lake Mansarovar, Vaishno Devi, Hemakund Sahib. Every religion you take, some association with Himalayas is there. These are all Hindu, Sikh, and Buddhist faiths, attract millions of devotees for both religious and spiritual reasons. And therefore, Krishna says, Himalayas is also one of my glories. Now he continues his listing that. We will read. You can all unmute. Ashwattah sarva vrikshanam
अश्वत्थः सर्ववृक्षाणां
devarshinaam cha naradah
देवर्षीणां च नारदः
gandharvanam chitraratah
गन्धर्वाणां
siddhanam kapilo munihi.
सिद्धानां कपिलो मुनिः.
Good. The Anvaya is all again very, very simple. I think many of you would now should be able to do the Anvaya on their own. But still I'll give Ashwattah Sarva Vrikshanam, Naradaha Devarshinam, Gandharvanam Chitraratah Cha Kapilah Munihi Siddhana. Aham Asmi, you can add. Ashwattah, the Ashwattha tree. Sarva Vrikshanam, among all trees. Naradaha, I am Narada. Devarshinam, among divine rishis. Chitraratah, I am Chitraratha. Gandharvanam, among the Gandharvas. Chak Kapilah Munihi, and I am sage Kapila. Siddhanam, among the Siddhas. So I am Ashwattah. Ashwattah means the fig tree. Fig tree among all trees. I am Narada among the divine sages. I am Chitraratha among the Gandharvas, and I am sage Kapila among the Siddhas. So first he talks about trees. Of course, all trees are the glories of Bhagavan only. Each variety is a glory. A mango tree is a glory, so is a banana tree. Every part of which is useful. Similarly, coconut tree. But if you want to pinpoint a particular tree, which is the most revered and worshipped, that is Ashwattha Vriksha. And it is daily worshipped by Hindus because it is supposed to be the abode of the Trinity. And therefore, if you do a Ashwattha Pradakshinam, that is as good as doing a Pradakshinam to the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. In fact, there is a shloka known as Ashwattha Stotram itself. It says, Mulato Brahma Rupaya, Madhyato Vishnu Rupine, Agratah Shiva Rupaya, Vriksha Rajaya Te Namaha. So that shloka itself says Ashwattha is called a Vriksha Raja, king among the trees, because in the Moolam, in the root of the Ashwattha Vriksha, Brahmaji is residing. In the middle, in the trunk portion, Madhyato Vishnu Rupine, and Agrata, on top of the tree, Lord Shiva abides. And to that Vriksha Raja, my Namaskara. And therefore, Krishna says, I am Ashwataha. Now, 15th chapter when we come to, there also the 15th chapter starts with a description of this Ashwatha tree. But there we must not quote this. Because 15th chapter Ashwatha tree is talked about in a different context. It represents samsara vriksha, tree of bondage. And in that we should not say Mulato, Brahma Rupa, etc. When we come to the 15th chapter, we will see that in detail. So don't, if you have already know some slokas, at least the starting itself is that, it talks about Ashwatam Prahuravyayam, it starts. So don't mix up the two. And that is why, when we interpret the scriptures, we have to keep the overall context in mind. Because the same description will be spoken about in two different contexts. One cannot apply that context here and this context there. And that is why, self-study is discouraged. Because if you do on your own study with some dictionary and all that, such mistakes are bound to occur. When you come to the 15th chapter, it says Ashwatha. Oh, I've heard this. 10th chapter, Krishna says, I am Ashwatha among trees. So that Ashwatha is being referred to here. All that wrong ideas will come. So he says Ashwatha Sarva Vrikshana. Then Devarshinam Cha Naradaha. And as we have seen, among Maharishis, Bhrigu was mentioned. The Bhrigu who tested the Trinity. And among the celestial rishis, the heavenly rishis, he says, I am Narada. And as we all know, Narada is a very popular rishi, who is also known as the Triloka Sanchari rishi. In fact, you will hardly find any Purana in which Narada is not a character, in which Narada does not come. Even in Upanishads, Narada appears. In Chandogya 7th chapter, Narada is the disciple of Sanat Kumara. And Narada received Brahma Vidya from Sanat Kumara. And that teaching is a very famous one. It is called Bhuma Vidya. There in the 7th chapter, the Chandogya Upanishad, Brahman is called Bhuma. And Brahma Vidya is called Bhuma Vidya. And therefore, Narada is a jnani also. In fact, when Narada goes to Sanat Kumara, normally every teacher will ask this question, what all you know? Narada says, I have studied the Shastras, completely. And he says, okay, what all you know? Narada gives him a big list. I know this, I know that, I know this, I know that. I know all the grammar, everything he gives. Then Sanat Kumara asks, if you know all these things, then why have you come to me to learn what? Narada says, even though I know all these things, I do not know Brahma Vidya. And I know that without Brahma Vidya, knowing all these things is futile, of no use. So I have come to you only to get Brahma Vidya. And Sanat Kumara teaches him and Narada becomes a jnani. And not only he was a great jnani, he distributed the wisdom to all the people. In fact, the very word Narada means Naram Jnanam Dadati iti Naradaha. Naram means jnanam. Da means giver. So the one who enlightens all the people, who gives wisdom and knowledge to all the people, not directly, through many of his pranks and stories and things like that and all. He is one of Bhagavan's glory. So Krishna says, that great Narada, I am among the celestial rishis. Then he says, Gandharvanam Chitraratah. As we have seen earlier also, Gandharvas are what? We can call them demigods, denizens, citizens of the heaven. One of the colonies of heaven, the Gandharva colony. As I told you, several colonies are there. One area is called Gandharva Loka, which is known for all forms of art, fine arts, dance, music, painting, sculpture. All of them are well known in Gandharva Loka. And among those Gandharvas, Krishna says, I am the king of the Gandharvas, known as Chitraratah. So Chitraratha is the Gandharvas Raja. In fact, in Mahabharata story, when the Pandavas are in the forest, that Gandharvas Raja appears. And initially he clashes with Arjuna. There is a combat. But what begins as a combat quickly turns into a strong friendship. And in a gesture of goodwill, Chitraratha gifts Pandavas 500 horses, which are described as swifter than the wind, to aid them in the Kurukshetra war. So he says, one of my glories is that Chitraratha among the Gandharvas. Then Siddhanam Kapilah Munihi. Among the great Siddhas. Siddhas means people who have got extraordinary powers, miraculous powers. One thing we must note, miraculous powers and spiritual knowledge do not have any connection at all. In fact, Shastra talks about 4 types of people. Those who have got siddhi, miraculous powers, but no self-knowledge. And those who have got self-knowledge, but no siddhi. Third category, those who have got self-knowledge and also siddhi. And what is the fourth type? People like us, no self-knowledge and no siddhi also. Maximum population belongs to this fourth category. Neither siddhis nor jnanam. Of these 4 types of people, only those who have got jnanam with or without siddhi are mukta purusha, they are liberated. Because for liberation, jnanam alone is required. You do not require siddhi at all. So the second and the third categories, that is who have got self-knowledge but no siddhi, and those who have got self-knowledge also and siddhi also, they are the one who are liberated. Those people who have got siddhi, who do not have jnanam, they all fall under the samsari bracket only, even though they have got miraculous powers. And unfortunately, that is what happens. Because of our own, deep set ignorance, we have no understanding of all these things. We think that someone who has got some miraculous power is a jnani. And many of the self-styled Bhagavans of today, they have certain miraculous powers, no doubt, but they are not jnanis. But then people mistake them for Gyanis. In fact, many Rakshasas had Siddhis. Ravana's whole army had so many Rakshasas with different Siddhis. But they did not have knowledge. Whereas Kapila Munihi is the one who had both Jnanam and Siddhi. In fact, in Bhagavata Purana, actually, Kapila is supposed to be one of the avatars of Bhagavan. Kapila is very well known in Bhagavatam. And Kapila teaches Vedanta to his mother Devahuti. There is a chapter called Kapila Devahuti Samvada. Very well known portion in Bhagavatam. And Kapila Muni teaches Vedanta very beautifully to his mother. Of course, there is one more Kapila Rishi who is not an avatar of Bhagavan, but is a great philosopher who has propounded the Sankhya philosophy, which is totally different from Vedanta. So we must not confuse, because one Kapila Muni comes or Kapila Rishi comes, we must not think that it is the same Kapila Muni or Kapila Rishi. So that Sankhya Rishi Kapila is not talked about here. Here we are talking about the Vedanta teacher Kapila Avataram. And not only he was a great Vedanta teacher, he was a Siddha Purusha also. It is said that a person can get Siddhi through several methods. So one of the methods is a person can get miraculous powers through money. Money is not M-O-N-E-Y. Huh? Money is M-A-N-I. Means certain gemstones, precious stones, money. Paras money and all you must have heard. There's a Hindi film also long back named Paras money. Then one can get Siddhi through some mantras are there. Then through some herbs, Aushadam, Siddhi can be got. So, we read in this Aladdin lamp story and all. There's a lamp, you take some precious stones and rub, then all that, kind of thing. You get some powers. That kind of precious stones. And Aushadam, certain types of herbs, if you hold in hand, it says you can get miraculous powers. And mantra, certain type of mantras you do. Purascharanam. Purascharanam means you have to find out how many letters are there in the mantra. Suppose you take the mantra Om Namah Shivaya. How many letters are there? Om, Na, Ma, Shi, Va, Ya. 6 letters. So you have to multiply that with lakhs. That means you have to chant Om Namah Shivaya 6 lakhs times minimum. You have to chant Om Namah Shivaya. That is called Purascharanam of Om Namah Shivaya. If it is Ashtaksharam, 8 lakhs. If it is Dwadashaksharam, 12 lakhs. If you want to do Purascharanam of Gayatri Mantra, you have to chant Gayatri Mantra 24 lakhs times. And this is the minimum. What is the maximum? Maximum, it says multiply by crores. Therefore, maximum of easy is 6 crore times, 8 crore times, 12 crore times, 24 crore times, etc. Once you do that, the potency of that mantra is released. And when we actually read in the Puranas, etc., that this Rishi did this tapas, that Rishi, that tapas, and he acquired all these powers, etc. What tapas means what? Tapas is japayagya only. All those rishis did this purascharanam only. Very challenging. And therefore, you can acquire miraculous powers through these. No, it is like through nuclear fission or nuclear fusion, whatever it is, energy within the atom is released. And how much energy? Just imagine. It destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So much power is there in a small atom. Similarly, every mantra has got tremendous potency, and that potency is released by Purascharanam of the mantra. And through that also, a person gets siddhi. So, Mani, mantra, aushadam. Then there is a fourth method, which is the yoga method. By concentrating the mind, focusing the mind, like, chakra focusing. Each chakra, you focus the mind. That is called yoga. And through yoga also, siddhis can be accomplished. Then there is a fifth one. What is that? Janma, by birth itself. Because of some extraordinary purva punyam, certain people have some powers. Sometimes, we read some freak news items. In fact, just a few days ago, I saw one video from Kerala. Earlier, I have read news items of a person. He can bend a metallic object by just staring at it. Spoons. The name is also some Keller or something. Very vague memory is there. You will just stare at a spoon, it will bend. Any metallic object he can bend by just staring it. Then a person allows a big current to pass through him. And that is the video I saw, There is a electric bulb which is fuse. So the father of this is a small girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old girl, or even lesser than the 3 or 4 years. When that girl holds that bulb, it burns. But when the father, mother, or any other in the family, when they hold the bulb, it doesn't burn. Then they hand it over to the girl, the bulb burns. There's a video which is circulating in the internet. These are all miraculous powers. And that is by birth. So that person is carrying some sort of a current which doesn't affect that person, but it works for the electrical gadgets. The person is a conductor of electricity. Not that he is actually, probably he is not carrying it, but since he is a conductor of electricity, the electricity which is there in the atmosphere passes through him and the bulb is burning. And there have been many, some TV programs also, on such people who have the superhuman powers. So by birth, certain people acquire miraculous powers. Such people are called Janmana Siddha. Those who have got miraculous powers by birth, not by any sadhana. And Krishna says, among such Siddha Purushas, I am Kapila Munihi. And when Krishna says, I am Kapila Munihi, you should remember that Ganga Avatarana story. In fact, the word Kapila itself means golden color. So, the one who has got golden color complexion is called Kapilaha. Of course, I don't know whether the famous cricketer Kapil Dev got his name because of this reason. We'll have to check with his parents. Anyway, Now the next set of glories. We will read. Uchchai Shravasam Ashwanam.
Uchchai Shravasamaswanam.
What happened?
No.
I am
Get
talking,
it.
people's throat are parched.
No. I think he's not able to get that full word.
Uchchai Shravasam Ashwanam.
Uchchai Shravasamaswanam.
Vidhi Vidhi Mamamritodbhavam.
Vidhi Mamamritodbhavam.
I agree, some of these words are tongue twisters.
Hmm.
Airavatam Gajendranam.
Airavatam Gajendranam.
Naranam cha Naradhipam.
Naranam Chanadipam. The second thing was that first line was little difficult.
Vidhi Mamamritodbhavama. Or Uchchai Shrava Samaswanam.
That was.
Yeah. Where
Shravas.
there too many shas are coming, we have got that one riddle, she sells seashells on the seashore.
Okay, something like that.
This is something like that.
Yes.
You are bound to get confused, or the tongue will get stuck in one sha and all that. Anyhow. But then Sanskrit is like that, there are some words which are really tongue twisters. Only way we can get over that problem is by repeating it again and again and again. Then the tongue also will get used to thus pronunciations. Anyway. So, Ashwanam Vidhimam Uchchai Shravasam Amrita Udbhavam Gajendranam Airavatam Cha Naradipam Narana. So only 3 glories he is talking about in this mantra, in this sloka. Ashwanam, among the horses. Vidhimam, may you know me. Uchchai Shravasam, to be Uchchai Shravas. Amrita Udbhavam, which emerged during the churning of the Milky Ocean for Amritam, nectar. Then Gajendranam Airavatam. Know me to be the Airavatam among the great elephants. Cha Naradipam. And to be the king. Naranam, among the human beings. So, among the horses, know me to be Uchchai Shravas, which emerged during the churning of the Milky Ocean for nectar. Know me to be Airavatam among the great elephants. And know me to be the king, Nara Adhipa, among the human beings. So now we are ready for the next story, which is equally a popular story in our Puranas. In fact, 2 stories are the most popular. One we have already seen, Gangavatarana story. The other story which is very popular is the Samudra Mathana story, churning of the Milky Ocean. And peculiarly enough, both these stories are teaching one fundamental lesson to us. And that is, in life, perseverance is the most important value. If you have to be successful in life, you should take everything as a challenge. Failures will come. Failure should not deter you. Failure should not make you fatalistic. Failure should not make you pessimistic. In fact, failure should only trigger further energy. So if you ask me which is one single mantra for success in life, in any field, that mantra is perseverance. That is the key to success. In the first story, it was what? Bhagirata Prayatna. And the second story is about Deva Asura Prayatnaha. Here also, most of you may know the story. So, I will not go too much into details, but still, I will include certain details to make it interesting. The story goes like this. The Devas, they were cursed by a short-tempered sage Durvasa, causing them to lose all their strength, power, vitality, immortality, etc. So to regain their powers, the Devas prayed to Lord Vishnu and sought his counsel, who advised them to churn the Ksheerasagar, ocean of milk, to obtain the Amrita, nectar of immortality. And this task was too great for them. Just to imagine, if you have to churn the whole big ocean, what kind of, first of all, strength and manpower is required. Then you also require the instrument for churning, like that, what is that, rope is required. Then the churning rod is required and all to churn the ocean. So this task was too great for them. Then Vishnu, being what he is, he instructed you do one thing. You go and form a temporary alliance with your rivals Asuras. Take their help. They are also very, very, very strong and powerful people. With their help, you churn the Milky Ocean. It is like the coalition government, I think many of our politicians have taken a lot of these stories, and they are putting it to practical use in today's context. So different political parties, different ideologies and all, they come together to form the government. The idea is what? To share the spoils. So similarly, Devas and Asuras, they formed an alliance. Because what Asuras wanted, they wanted cabinet births. Amritam, they wanted immortality. So they also said, yes, we will form a coalition to churn the ocean. Now, as I said, for churning the Milky Ocean, you cannot use local churning gadgets, isn't it? You cannot take a few one kitchen and go and do it. In olden days, women folk would churn the curd and extract buttermilk. They would put the cream or curd in a large pot. Then using a churning rod and a rope, which will go around the rod, then the woman folk, they will pull the rope from one end to another. It's a very rhythmic, beautiful way they will do it, So the churning rod alternately will rotate clockwise and anti-clockwise. And this churning will cause the butter to surface from the curd or milk. But for small quantity of milk and butter and all, that is okay. Small pots. But such system cannot be applied for churning the ocean. So for that you need to have a special churning rod, and therefore the Mantara Parvatam, a big mountain was chosen as the special churning rod. And for the mountain, a big mountain. So if the rope has to go 3-4 times around the mountain for them to do the churning, the rope also has got to be very big. Where will you find such a big rope? So they chose Vasuki snake. That was the biggest that was available in the form of a rope. So Vasuki was chosen as the rope. And the group of Devas and Asuras together had to do the churning. And as usual, till the elections, coalition. The moment government formation is to take place, there will be difference of opinion. I want home ministry, I will not give you finance ministry, like that it will happen. So there was in the beginning itself difference of opinion between Devas and Asuras surfaced. In that, forget politics, it happens even between husband and wife. Any job you start, first thing you will find will be difference of opinion. The husband will tell one thing, the wife will tell the opposite or the other way around. So this difference of opinion is not only natural for human beings, but also for Devas and Asuras. So what was the difference of opinion between these two people? The contention was who should hold the head of the snake and who should hold the tail of the snake. So the issue was what? Head or tail. That is why probably in sports like cricket, football matches, etc., even today, they have got this head or tail toss of a coin. Anyway, somehow they solved the problem and they started churning. And when the mountain was placed in the ocean, such a heavy mountain, it begins to sink into the soft waters because there was no base to support its immense weight. Now, the mountain will be above water provided the height of the mountain is more than the water level, isn't it? Suppose the mountain's height is same or lesser than the water level, then the mountain will sink and you can't churn. So accordingly, the mountain started sinking in the water. Now what to do? Resolve the crisis, they again prayed to Lord Vishnu, who took the form of a massive tortoise, Kurma, went to the bottom of the ocean, bore the heavy weight of the mountain Mantara on his back, providing the necessary stability and balance for the churning to continue. This is the story of Kurma Avatara. So there's a story within story within story, but this is the beauty about Puranas is that so many stories, very entertaining stories. That is why, this Bhagavada Saptaham and all, there are people, they will attend it every year or everywhere Bhagavada Saptaham takes place, they will go. I know of one family, husband and wife, 25 years they have attended all Bhagavata Saptahams. So, with Kurma as the base, Vishnu in the form of Kurma as the base, the churning started. And when the churning started, varieties of things started coming out, like butter from the curd or cream. Here, milky ocean is being churned. Varieties of wonderful things, varieties of dangerous things also started surfacing from that ocean. Kaustuba Ratna came, Lakshmi Devi came, the elephant Airavatam came, the horse Uchchaishravas came, Dhanvantari came, and Hala poison, Vesham, a potent poison also came. So many things came out of the ocean. And it is said that 14 virtuous things appeared out of the milky ocean at the time of churning. Chaturdasha Ratnani. Kalidasa writes a prayer called Mangalashtakam, which is supposed to be chanted in the morning. And in those prayers, it talks about various sacred things to be remembered. Sacred rivers, sacred deities. Like that, he enumerates various things. And in one verse, he mentions the 14 Ratnas, the precious things which came out of the Milky Ocean. What are those 14 things and what is the shloka which Kalidasa has composed? We will see in the next class. Okay. I will start the class with that shloka. Now time is up, so we will close the class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Thank you very much. Dhanyavada everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Guruji, thank you very much.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Namaste, Guruji. Namaste.
Sorry.
Namaste.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Namaste. Namaste. Yes, Lataji.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Guruji. Very gripping because of the various stories as well.
Mm.
Guruji, it's not a question or anything. It is my mind is capable of grasping itihasa and the spiritual teachings, but the Purana and the things like what we are today covering, the Samudra Manthana and all that's connected stories and all that. So my mind cannot grasp or comprehend that. So my question is this all this symbolic, or did this really happen?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We
Okay.
don't know whether they all really happened, but we believe they happened because it is written by Vedavyasa.
Right. Yeah. To that extent, it has
Yes,
happened.
but they have a symbolic, because you see, at the end of the day, what has Vedavyasa tried to do? Taken real life situations, and on the one hand, he has given the teachings in the pure form, absolutely Shastric form, Brahma Sutra, Vedas, Upanishads, etc. And he knows that that is not for all. Everybody cannot relate to all those things. It requires tremendous amount of effort, studies, and a very high level of intellect, which everybody will not have. So then he composed these Puranas and all, but he wanted to convey the same message. So he has probably taken some real situations and probably embellished them with certain imaginary things so that he could convey that message in a symbolic manner. So, on the one hand, for people who cannot see the symbolism, the story itself is very, very enjoyable. Okay. They relate to the stories and all, Krishna, Gopika, Geetam and all, so popular.
Yes, Guruji.
Isn't it? They relate to that only. What is the symbolism of gopis? What is the symbolism of Krishna dancing with the gopis and all? They don't care about that. So, but the next level people who are actually spiritually little more advanced or mature, they will also enjoy the story, but in the story, they will look for some symbolic messages.
Yes, Guruji.
And then when we come to Vedanta and all, we see, we forget the story, we forget the symbolic message, which is applicable to those people. We take the highest symbolic message, which is what is it that this story is telling me that I should do?
Absolutely, Guruji. Yes.
Isn't it? What I must do. So both these stories, for us, there is only one message, prayatna hai. Absolutely, no, never give up, never get disheartened about anything. Initially, let me ask you one question very, honestly, you can answer. In
Yes.
the beginning, when we started the classes, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever time, started with Tattva Bodha and then all that.
Yes.
What was your level of understanding in relation to Vedanta as compared to what it is now?
Yeah. At that point of time, it was only a question: what is Vedanta? And now it's getting there's more and more clarity with every.
More and more. You are able to relate better.
Yes.
Why? Because even though initial stages you didn't know what was being talked about and you had a lot of questions, you didn't give up. You continued. You continue to put in an effort to understand what is going on. And I have been telling you, let the right time come, you will know what it is, and all.
Yes.
Still, we have not reached that final stage. We have not reached Brahma Sutra at all.
Hmm.
Vedanta is all about intellectual, vichara only. Rather. I mean, you must have a very highly thinking mind to understand, study Vedanta and understand Vedanta, analyze Vedanta, assimilate Vedanta. That thinking mind is required. Most people today, they refuse to think, or they don't want to think at all. I hear people saying, oh, that's all, too much thinking is involved. I don't want to get into that. They don't want to think.
Yes, Guruji. I think that's again a journey, isn't it? They have not yet. I'm not saying I mean we have all of us that you are taking us along with you uh, by God's grace, and then our Purvajanma Punya, our parents' blessings, or not or and your guidance. We are slowly progressing in that.
It's
But
only
then
progressing.
there was a stage that in this life and in previous lives, all this probably didn't mean anything to any of us.
That is why, you just see, this classes started, with how many people? Bhagavad Gita, there were about 45 or some odd students were registered for Bhagavad Gita. Today, how many are left? And it is nothing to do with the Gita. It is to do with them. They are not able to cope up. They still have to go. A lot more chitta shuddhi is required. And it's a process, when you listen to the Shastra, that chitta shuddhi takes place. When chitta shuddhi takes place, Shastra becomes more meaningful to you. So
True.
it's a process, it goes on simultaneously. The Chitta Shuddhi, Shastra Vichara, Chitta Shuddhi, Shastra Vichara, they go on simultaneously. And the more you persevere, the more you put in effort, things become clearer, 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 clearer. And to be very honest with you, when I studied in the Gurukulam 3.5 years,
Guruji.
all these was all, nothing went into my head. I had questions, but then at one point I thought that, no point in asking questions, because even if I'm explained, I will not understand anything. Honestly speaking, my spiritual journey did not begin in Gurukulam. My spiritual journey began when I started teaching you people. Because now I am actually doing what I was advised to do, Nitidhyasana.
Mananam and Nididhyasanam.
Nitidhyasana, Mananam also to some extent, because when I am actually reading Puja Swamiji's talks, or Swami Paramathanandaji's, or my own notes I refer, if I get a doubt, because when I am telling you, I must be convinced about what I am telling, isn't it? I can't just pass on some nonsense and then say, oh, this is how it is, you have to accept it. No.
Yeah.
So I then do research. I try to find out what exactly that message is to be conveyed. So that is the Mananam part which I continue to do. Shravanam, in any case, whenever any stoka I take up, I have to study the stoka. So it's a continuous process. And what is helping me is my perseverance. So that is the message of all these Puranas we must understand. At least from our perspective, there are other messages. Puranas contain so many messages. Itihasas contain so many messages. You can see Ramayana is just a story of Rama Sita going to forest. You can see Ramayana as a son, sacrifice, ready to sacrifice everything for the sake of his father's, keep up his father's words. So many, brotherly love between Bharata and Ramayana, even though Bharata's mother tried to pit the two against each other. So many messages are there. So, Itihasas, Puranas,
Yeah,
they are
because
all meant for this purpose.
as you, I was not earlier knowing what the difference between Itihasa and Purana, and only after attending teaching from your teaching, I came to know that Itihasa is something where the dates are known, and then you have a kind of a proof about that. Yeah, that your mind can relate to that, and also the moral of everything. Definitely, it appeals.
Values. What are the human values that we must cherish, that we must take away from these stories? That is important.
Yes, Guruji, that's absolutely.
It's how it is all. And I can tell you one thing, Lataji, all these things, the more and more you absorb, your mind becomes more and more pure. It is an automatic process. These are all like applying all the detergents and things like that to your impure mind. They automatically clean. We don't need to know the process, how it is being cleaned. Just apply the detergent, it will clean. That's it.
Yes.
We don't need to know the formula of the detergents. That is how it is, rather. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Hariom.
Hariom.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other question? Nothing seems to be there. In fact, I forgot to make one announcement about the next week's class. Well, next week on Friday, I am in Guruvayur. So I have still not yet decided whether I should take only one day I'm there. Whether I should call off the class or take my laptop also. Well, taking laptop to temple and all, slightly risky because you will leave. I can't take it inside the temple. I will have to leave it in the hotel room, and then have to trust the hotel people that nothing will happen. But still, I have not yet decided. I may still have the class on Friday evening. Well, evening, I will probably reach around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, Guruvayur. 7 o'clock, I'll still be free, and I'll have to see whether I can take the class with the help of my person, because I will not have access to internet there, certainly. But hotspot I can do.
Guruji, I think you should just have a full heart into your Guruvayur visit and not be weighed by the class when you're going to such a holy place.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, as I said, and I'm going with my son and my daughter-in-law. So they are also going to be there. They come from Canada. So let me see. If the class is not going to be, if I don't feel like, feel comfortable holding the class, then we may not have the next class on next Friday, but the following we'll continue. Okay. I left the story in a very interesting stage. So some of you may be disappointed that next week the story is not going to continue. But doesn't matter. We will still pick up the threads and continue the story from the following week. Okay. Okay then. Hariom.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Thank you very
Namaskaram,
much.
Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hariom.
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Namaskaram.